This is my fight breakdown for Terence Crawford versus Israil Madrimov. I feel like Madrimov is a very good fighter. A lot of people say he's like Triple G. I mean, from what he looks and how he boxes, I mean, you can basically say that. But I feel like Triple G is a lot more polished than what Madrimov is. Madrimov leaves his feet a lot when he's jabbing. He's leaping into a lot of punches. If people don't realize it, feet comes off the ground a couple of inches every time he throws a combination. So that definitely can backfire in certain situations when you're with a guy like Terence Crawford who can move. He can throw punches on the move. He can switch stances. He can be in southpaw as well. So if Madrimov realizes Terence Crawford can start off in orthodox, and throughout the rounds he'll change the southpaw. And people that felt like over the years, okay, that just sounds good. You know, I've known guys that switch stances and change how they fight, but they're not as effective as Terence Crawford is. Terence Crawford is knocking out elite guys. He's not knocking out regular guys that's just contenders that just came up and they haven't made a name for themselves yet. He's knocking out people that's possibly could have been on pound for pound lists, guys that could have been future champions, guys that haven't been knocked out before. So a lot of things like that have to be considered when you were talking about a guy like Terence Crawford. He's just not a style and a boxer and everything else. He's everything. He can brawl. He can box. Whatever style you need. I don't know if Madrimov can brawl and box. More so, he's kind of in between. He'll box a little bit, brawl a little bit. But can he just box the whole time? I don't know. I think Terence Crawford's going to try to take him into some deep waters, see if he can box a little bit for the first 6 rounds. Madrimov has to be able to stick to the jab. He throws the jab consistently, but it's not an effective jab to the point where he could just use that for rounds and rounds and rounds without throwing the hooks. He has to also throw his hooks. His hooks are a little wide. He throws some wide hooks. His left hook is effective. He goes to the body, but they tend to be wide. With a guy like Terence Crawford, you can get him between those shots and basically tee off if you need to. The uppercut will be there, especially when you're on the move and Madrimov is leaping into some of these punches that I'm trying to tell you about. It's not going to be good because Terence Crawford will be able to catch him because his feet won't be on the ground. His footwork isn't the best, but his power and his accuracy as far as and he leaves his hands low a lot too. Madrimov tends to drop his hands low. His stamina seems like it's above average, but I wouldn't say it's to the point where if I was him, I would try to lean on my stamina and try to outpunch Terence Crawford and take it 12 rounds. If he does that, it's going to be advantage Terence Crawford because Terence Crawford has the experience to take these guys in the deep waters and be just as effective as a guy like Tank Davis or anybody else. Canelo, he's very dangerous when it comes to 11th, 12th round. I've been telling people that a lot over the years. And this fight would actually show that. It would actually show that a lot of these guys possibly cannot stop a guy like Terence Crawford when he switches stances. He's jabbing consistently. He has power in both hands. The speed, the accuracy. He's hard to punch. He changes the levels. His head movement is excellent. So people have to realize. And then I feel like Terence Crawford is going to be able to go to that body. He's going to jab a lot. He's going to see if Madrimov going to get on that front foot. If Madrimov is on the front foot like Terence Crawford wants him to be, that'll be an advantage Terence Crawford. So I definitely feel like Madrimov is going to be aggressive, especially if the jab for him is not working and Terence Crawford is leaning on his jab a lot more early in the fight. That will put Madrimov down on the scorecards, and the pressure will be behind him. I don't know if it's going to be a knockout. I absolutely do not know if it's going to be a knockout. Just because Madrimov is a guy, he's not going to put himself in a bad position once he realizes what his weaknesses are in the fight. But he won't know until he actually gets in there. Like, he'll know what Terence Crawford is capable of, but it's going to be a couple of things he's going to probably have to stay away from. I think the left hook's going to be something he's going to stay away from. The overhand right is going to be something he's going to stay away from. But then when he tries to change that, I think Terence Crawford will switch over to that southpaw position. And by the time he does that, Madrimov his mind will be stuck on the first part of the fight, and by that second half of the fight, just the oxygen to his brain, the stamina, everything going. It's gonna get cloudy after a while. It's not gonna. It's gonna be too much guessing going on. Terence Crawford definitely plays mind games. His approach to the whole fight is going to be very aggressive. He's going to have a violent mindset. He knows that Madrimov is a power puncher. He's a guy that tries to get people out of there. He's a bigger guy. He's actually very big for 154. To be honest with you, I think Madrimov is actually bigger than Tim Tszyu. So this is definitely going to be a huge challenge for Terence Crawford. But I definitely feel like Terence Crawford will be able to beat this guy. He'll be able to put combinations on him and possibly stop him. He's going to possibly drop him. At a later date, I will update the results. But right now, I feel like it will be a 50-50 fight. I feel like it will be a decision fight. It will end on a decision. But Madrimov has to be able to go to the body and slow Terence Crawford down. With the age that he's at now, I'm not saying Terence Crawford is not in the best shape that he could be in. But any fighter who's over 30-something, you got to be able to go to the body with these guys. You have to. Just like what Usyk was doing against Tyson Fury. Going to the body, and later on in the fight, he was going to the head. Have to be able to rely on going to the body throughout the fight. And I think Terence Crawford is going to make that the most important thing throughout this fight. Madrimov is not going to get let off easy. And it's going to be a huge challenge for everybody involved. But I definitely feel like Madrimov has a huge advantage when it comes to certain aspects of the fight. With his power and his size. But the accuracy and speed with Terence Crawford is going to be something that Madrimov just not ready for, especially at the weight class. But he could possibly get some things done. Not saying that Madrimov is guaranteed to lose. It's a 50-50 fight. So anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? It could be something that, it could be somebody's off day. But I definitely feel like Terence Crawford is so determined. He hasn't had this much attention on him because of the fans. They're putting him in a position where he's 35 years old, having to prove himself. Dude's undisputed twice. 35 years old. At 35, well, he's 36 now, had to prove himself. You know, so we're at that point in boxing where, you know, the top dog is the underdog. You know, but that's all I got, man. Like and subscribe.